you guys can hear me on that platform. Just hold on, guys. I'm setting up because I'm on a lot of streams now. Hold on. I gotta go back to you. Okay, let me close this box. And now I'm coming in on this. This is Facebook. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. Facebook is having a problem. Let me try to remove it on Facebook. Okay, and I'm getting ready to try it again on Facebook for you guys because I don't know what happened. Okay, I tried to. You guys don't see it on Facebook at all? Okay, hold on. I think I see the problem. Taking it off of Instagram. Bear with us. Facebook now. There we go. Okay, just to let everybody know what's going on. Alhamdulillah, in alhamdulillah, wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. Alhamdulillah, we're streaming now on so many different platforms. We're streaming live on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, on Kicked is the new program. We're back streaming live on Kick. For those of you who are familiar with Kick, we're also streaming on Bijou, and we're also streaming on LinkedIn. So that's what's going on. And we were streaming on TikTok. However, we've been banned again from TikTok, which we don't care. TikTok is the competitor of Bijou, and Bijou has allowed us to stream, and TikTok has banned us. Who cares? Seems like we have better. Bijou is better than TikTok anyway. It's more controlled. We have our room set up here, and we have a lot of good Muslims there. I have 102 people in this room alone. Assalamu alaikum, everybody who's in Bijou. And alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed me. I have a new moderator. I want to welcome Sister Geechee, Sister Zarina, Mina, and we have a new moderator who has joined in to help me on Bijou. Her name is Layla. She's from Texas. Layla, when you get a chance, you can join there. And she's going to also help moderate Bijou. It's just like TikTok, but better because it's more controlled. It's none of that fitna that's going on. And they are very, very strict, but they're allowing me to stream as long as they say I don't use a third party streaming service. So that's why what's going on, guys, and that's why we're having this little problem. And I got some issues going on with Facebook, but I'll resolve them a little bit after this. There's a lot of conflict. They all get jealous when they see that you are streaming like I am to 25 different platforms. So anyway, for those of you who are new joining us, this is our weekly series with Dr. Daniel Abdul Rahman McBride. They like to call him the brain person because alhamdulillah, he teaches us how to train our brain. Because if you can train your brain, the brain connects to the heart. And as our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us, the heart, whatever is in your heart is going to show through the actions, through the limbs of your body, through your actions. So if you can train your heart, your brain to be in sync with the commands of Allah, it's going to resonate through your heart and through your actions. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Daniel McBride. And in this new room, I know I have a lot of non-Muslims too. I got 99 people in here. A lot of you non-Muslims are going to enjoy him. I know you guys can't see my live stream because this program won't allow the third-party stream, but this is his picture behind me. This is Dr. Daniel Abdul Rahman McBride, and you can feel free to join my YouTube channel. I am live on YouTube too, and that way you can see us, or you can turn us on the television. Go to channel YouTube, channel Sunnah Followers, and you can see a bigger a picture of him live speaking. I'm going to turn it over to him, and inshallah, any questions you all have, write them down, and at the end of his talk, you can present them to him and he'll answer them, inshallah. So with no further ado, Dr. Abdul Rahman McBride, you can go ahead and start.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Also to our non-Muslim relatives and friends, it is very important. Last week we talked about the executive function, and I really have to make a big deal again to emphasize that executive function is the last thing we build, or the last thing that develops in our brain. So from the favorite words with brain stuff is the word motricity, M-O-T-R-I-C-I-T-Y. Everything we do as human beings is built on movement. You'll notice that what we call primitive reflexes, newborn children, you didn't teach them to grab things. You didn't teach them to be startled. You didn't teach them to breastfeed. I use that as an example a lot. When I test brain trauma or brain injury, strokes, brain trauma, car accidents, motorcycles, and autism, ADHD, especially with adults in brain trauma, I always look for, believe it or not, what we call the rooting or sucking reflex. We didn't teach our babies how to do this. And it's literally, you stroke the baby's cheek, and I do 2 different locations. For Muslim men, it's especially important to hit up here so that we get past the beard, men with beards, and also along the lower jawline to the lip. So what I'll do is I'll stroke to the lip, and I'll do both sides, because sometimes I get a reflex, and this should be gone well before the end of the first year of life. But imagine if I see that as in an adult, male or female, but imagine I see that in an adult after a brain trauma. That means their brain has been injured, their brain has regressed, and the old, what we call primitive reflexes that babies are born with and we should grow out of as other parts of our brain develop. If that reflex is still there, and like I said last week, I've seen it in adults. My most recent was an adult male in his 40s. Stroke, and it was really cool because it was actually one side and not the other, and it matched the trauma and blah 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 blah. But the idea is, those are what we look for, we build from. The baby is born hardwired. Babies are blessed with primitive reflexes, so we look for those. I test for 10 in the office. And then we also then we've got balance, we've got vestibular function, then we've got eye movement, we've got all the way up until literally executive function is up here. When we think of it, it's mainly the frontal lobe, dorsolateral, prefrontal cortex, and the frontal polar area. That's the last thing to develop in human beings. And that is the most integrated, most hardwired part of your brain is this frontal area. Women, to a man's disadvantage, generally speaking, women hit theirs or grow theirs a few years before men do. Women are usually early to mid 20s, and men are mid 20s to late 20s. So it's true. Um, but at the same time, that's the way Allah designed us. So we're all equal in the eyes of Allah, right? So I bring that up because today I'm going to be talking about something that's really, really important to executive function, or how you would say is an important part of executive function. And it also ties back into the months, what we did, a month and a half or so of just goal setting. It's very important to understand. And I used to think, even myself, I used to think this was all woo-woo stuff, and it's not. It's very important to visualize what we talked about before, your goals. It's very important to visualize your success. Self-talk is a very important part of that. But today we're going to talk about just visualization. And as the sister mentioned last week when we were interacting at the end, the Quran is very, very, very descriptive, the words and the brothers and sisters that speak Arabic, the descriptions in Arabic are even more picturesque, more beautiful, or more scary. Whatever the point of that verse or that surah is, it's a very picturesque, descriptive book, and so that you can literally visualize. Like for me, the verse that says protect you and your family, that's always stuck with me. Protect you first and your family from a fire whose fuel is mankind and stones. I've always been able to picture being trapped in a giant hot, so hot, I can't picture hot, but I can see the stones on the ground in this enclosed, just red hot, hot, that even the stones are burning. So that's a verse that hit me the first time I read it and has never left me. And then there's the other verses and descriptions of heaven, descriptions of, as we talk about the forelock all the time, frontal lobe for me. And the brothers, or the I think it was a brother that interacted with me on my YouTube channel, messaging. Sometimes I comment on some of the questions or statements. He was saying that based on somebody, a Dr. Christian something or other, it's supposed to be hair. And there was a theoretical argument about it. And this other guy proved that it meant hair. And as I said before, I'm fine with that. But there's another verse in Surah Hud that says, I believe it's Hud, that says Allah has all creatures by their forelock. And as I reminded the brother, obviously I don't have a forelock of hair here. So what must Allah have me by? So the idea is, whether I'm right or wrong based on my English translation and interpretation of it. As I said before, anything I say that is wrong is totally on me. Any good that comes out of this is from Allah. But again, these things are all picture. The verse from Hud that says Allah has all of creation by their forelock, or whatever the Arabic word is there. That this is it. So for me, these pictures and the beauty of heaven and descriptions of the good stuff and the descriptions of the bad stuff. The yes and the no, the halal and the haram, the rewards, the punishments. It's very important, and that leads me right into the visualization. When you are doing anything, take a second to visualize an outcome. If you're setting goals, as we did, I didn't make a big deal about visualization, but as I explained, and that's why I'm doing a talk on visualization today. As I explained, it's really important to have a concrete idea and picture of your goal. Yes, a very concrete picture of your goal. For Muslims, Goal setting should be easy. We've got a goal of and non-Muslims also, sorry. We've got the ultimate goal is heaven, except for the atheists, if there's any atheists in our audience. The ultimate goal is heaven. So think about what takes place there and your picture of heaven. There's beautiful verses. There's the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that describe heaven and the shade of the tree that is so big and casts so much shade that it takes 700 years for a rider, a horseback rider, to travel from one end of the shade all the way to the other. 700 years. That's how big and beautiful this tree is and how comforting that shade is. So we've got all these pictures. So what I'm going to do is, with the Quran is my example, I'm going to emphasize the fact that all of you start visualizing that goal that you should have written down. You should have come up with a great goal, one in many. You should have come up with a great purpose. Maybe it's for the good of your family, for the good of the community, for the good of society, for everyone in the world. Whatever your gigantic motivating purpose is, your goal, your purpose, and then your action step. And then how long is it going to take you? If you could get it done ideally, what's the time frame? Is it a 1 week goal? It is a 1 month goal? Is it a 1 year goal? Is it a goal for your lifetime? I'm not a big fan of, I don't plan on retiring, so I don't have a retirement goal. But some people do, and I'm cool with retirement. Believe me, it's not good or bad. I just don't see that anytime soon. The idea is, though, if you have a goal, literally close your eyes right now, and you can listen to me. Close your eyes and picture what that goal is. There's some great research about, they use basketball players, they use golfers, they've used a lot of sports stuff because you can measure that right now. And there was a basketball research that had 3 different groups. You had a control group that didn't do anything. You had another group that practiced every day for an hour. You had another group that did not practice but visualized every day for an hour. So what they did was they measured how good they were at shooting a specific shot. I think it was a foul shot. And at the end of 2 weeks, they measured changes, if there were any. The control group that did nothing saw no improvement, no change, no improvement, no decrease, nothing. The group that practiced every day, they actually improved by 24% in 2 weeks. Literally, practice and perfect practice improves or leads to perfection, right? Leads you towards perfection. So the group that actually practiced that shot every day improved 24%. Huge level of improvement. The group that only visualized didn't improve as much, but they did improve, picture this, 21%. Visualizing. Now, don't just sit around and think about losing weight. But the idea is you should use the visualization process when you're not exercising, when you're struggling to control the appetite or whatever, because that's measurable, right? You want to visualize what you're going to look like, what you're going to feel like, the clothes you're going to wear, the activities you're now going to be able to do, because as my patients, the joints don't hurt as much. If you're doing a little bit of exercise, which I teach and encourage at the office, we improve muscle tone and stabilize, particularly the knees and the ankles and the hips, right? And the lower back. I apologize. While I'm thinking of it, the lower back exercise I said I was going to put up on my Instagram account. My son got sick that week, so I wasn't able to use him to demonstrate while I taught. And then he was making up with overtime stuff this past week, what he didn't get paid the week before. So that is still there. And he and I are planning time together this weekend to literally knock out a few videos that are real straightforward for lower back stuff. And again, though, visualize, open your eyes if you haven't already. Sorry. The idea is visualization is so important. And a great example is not just the research stuff, but think about if you go to movies, or even if you watch them in your home, you're sitting there, pretend you watch a scary movie. I don't like scary movies, but if you're watching a scary movie, pretend you went to the theater to watch a scary movie. One of my daughters loves scary movies. She always gets scared, but she likes it. You go to the movie, you pay what, $5, $10, and you're with friends. You're in a theater, nice cushiony seats, and pow, the scary part happens, and you still jump. You walked in there, you know it's fake, you know there's no threat. Why are you scared? Your brain cannot tell a joke. Your brain believes your eyes darn near more than it believes everything else. So imagine if you still use your eye function, but close your eyes, like I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to visualize all the different descriptions of heaven that I've read, I've heard, the green soft silk gowns, on couches, and in Jannah, men are will be dressed in silk, comfortable, surrounded by people we love and people that love us. We can think into existence any food or drink that tastes better than anything we've ever had here. Open my eyes. Think about if you visualize your end result. And in goal setting, that's hugely important, because what we're talking about is, what is that ultimate goal? What does, pretend it's weight, not basketball or golf. Pretend it's weight, because I don't play golf. The idea is pretend it's weight. I used to do, for the office, we used to do these weight loss dinners and talk and advertise and invite people in for a dinner, try to make it as healthy as we can, and then invite them in as patients. One of the questions I always ask, because I like fives, is how many people want to lose 50 pounds? Almost everybody in the audience, literally at every dinner, would raise their hands. How many people have tried? Almost everybody in the audience has raised their hands. Then, how many think they can? Boop. Literally, the hands fall. That's why they're there, right? It's because they think they can't anymore. But they're at the dinner, and it's not just the free food. They've got to listen to me talk for about 45 minutes about weight loss. And the idea is, when I do say, how many people could lose 50 pounds, or excuse me, how many people could lose 1 pound this week? Almost everybody, and you see where I'm going to go with this, almost everybody raises their hand. All of us can probably lose 1 pound a week. So now, if your goal is the big 5-0, and you can lose 1 pound a week, that's your action step. Now, what's your time frame? A year. Now you've got 2 extra weeks, just in case, right? So imagine now you start visualizing, holy cow, a year from today, this is what I'm going to look like. And it's an easy picture. What did I look like 50 pounds ago? You have those pictures if you haven't gotten rid of them. You know what you look like 50 pounds less. You may remember what year of middle school, high school, college, or the first in your 20s or in your teens, whatever it was. You have that picture in your head. You have that picture in your head, and imagine what it looks like. Visualize that end result at 1 pound a week. Does that make sense? If it's a monetary goal in the office or in your workplace, pretend you want a $5,000 raise in 1 year, or 10,000. What does $10,000 look like in a stack of 100s at the end of the year? Because, right? Because you actually made it last year without that $10,000. So you could literally have that stack of 10,000 in 100s, or even in 20s, right? Even in 20s. So you've got that stack of money. What does that stack of money look like? And in the movies, oh my God, what's it smell like? Lots of hands have touched that. I don't recommend it. But the idea is that if you start visualizing what you want to achieve, it will make a world of difference. Because like I said, with the basketball, it improved 24% with practice. It improved 21% with just the visualization. Imagine now you're practicing weight loss, for example. You're eating just a tiny bit less. You're walking a tiny bit more. It's only a pound a week. And you're doing that all the time. Literally, we talk about it all the time. I use it as an example because it's a gigantic, hugely important goal for me this year is finishing up this computer project. And I literally visualize, I have everything, like the sister knows Sabrine, I get everything set up the night before for what I'm going to do tomorrow morning when my alarm clock goes off. I already know my alarm clock is going to go off at 5:30. I'm going to get up. I'm going to pray. I'm going to make sure, and with my son, I'm going to get him up. He's got to leave for work earlier than I do. So he gets up and he does his thing, and then we get ready. Prayers are said. His breakfast is made first, just because while after prayer, I am typing and working on the computer project. Because like I said, my computer guy's waiting. His end is done. I just have to feed him the information to put in. But the idea is tomorrow morning, I know that's what's going to take place. And most of you know tonight. I know right where my phone's going to be. It's going to be charging, and it's going to be set close to the floor next to the bed so that I can hear it. And I will play Surat al-Kahf tonight in Arabic because I love listening to Arabic, Quranic Arabic. And that's what's going to take place when I get ready to go to bed tonight. It's just beautiful. It really ramps me down. Listening to the Quran, we're told that in the grave, the Quran, if you really love the Quran and you put a lot of effort into the Quran will defend you when you're questioned in the grave for Muslims, right? So I want the Quran to argue for me that I listen to it darn near every night. And the Quran knows that I love the Quran. And I picture that. So the idea is if you envision your goal, whatever it is, whether it's basketball, whether it's the extra stack of money at the end of the year, or imagine the stack of bills you may have that you've paid down because you earned that extra money. Does that make sense? So there were two ways for me in my office to make more money: get a raise and figure out how to work more. And I told you how I did that last month, I think. So if you picture your goal and then you try to figure out the action steps that go with it, really close your eyes, envision it, and figure it out. I'm not lying. It's not woo-woo to me anymore. It is scientific fact. Just like when you go to the movies and you believe what you see, your brain will already know, like the basketball and the golf studies that I mentioned, your brain will already know what success looks like. Meditation works. It's all that stuff. But I'm talking use that same idea with active visualization for whatever success you want to have. And then it even, like in my case, when I visualize, it even introduces other action steps. While I'm thinking out of it and focusing on it, an idea will pop in and I'll add that. Like this computer project turned into a matching written guide. And then trying to figure out how to work that out, a couple of ideas came in for adding books to that. So literally, when you really, really, really get into it, and when you visualize, your brain believes you. Your brain knows that it's important because you are focused on it, not just once, but a little bit. Repetition is key. Your brain's language is repetition. The more you think about it, the more important your brain thinks it is. Like we talked about with goal setting and family relationships, the more you think about pleasing your spouse, helping your children, making yourself a better person, hugely important with goal setting and achieving is not a selfish, but improve yourself and bring a better you to your relationship. When the sister was talking about, and we did a whole thing about modeling yourself into a good potential spouse, right? Be the best person that you can be so that you attract the best people to you. It's really important to, like I said, with a quote about protect you and your family, right? So you really want to make sure you're role modeling the right stuff for your family, especially us men. Don't be a sloppy man and expect your wife to maintain her beauty. Don't be a sloppy man and expect your kids to be hugely successful just because you told them, right? Kids do what you do, not what you say. And they never do everything you do. And they very rarely do anything you say. I have four, love my kids to death. But the idea is bring the best you to your situation. And again, focus on yourself, but visualize exactly what you are trying to achieve. It's no exaggeration based on the research. If you envision it, and it's not, how do you say, the idea that think and it shall just happen. I don't go that route. It's everything is the powder of Allah. And if you are going to be blessed with something, you will be blessed with something. And if it's going to be withheld, that's probably a blessing also. There was a famous scholar, I wish I could remember the name. He used to thank Allah for not blessing him with all this luxury. And he said, because he saw others that were given those blessings and it broke them. So imagine if everything's saved for Jannah. So I'm telling you, you really, most of us will spend all day and think, you might know people that complain and you're hanging out with the brothers at the masjid, and what are you doing? You're complaining about the kids not behaving, you're complaining about your wife, and she doesn't cook as well as she used to. She doesn't pay attention to you like she used to. Your boss doesn't appreciate you like he did when you first got hired, or you hate your job, and Well, if you want to change things and you want to end a conversation, ask someone while they're doing all that, well, what do you want? And that's about what you'll get back. Most people, most of us don't know what they want. And I'm speaking from experience. My kids will tell you, I tell them, don't do like I did growing up, in the sense that I literally just fell into, and now I realize it was a quarter of a lot, but I just fell into things that worked out. And I never envisioned this, and I didn't envision that, and meeting that person over there, and knowing and this opportunity over there. I literally, I just fall into things. And that's no way to live your life. It's at that point, it's kind of stressful because you don't have a plan. You don't know what steps to take. And if something doesn't go your way, you don't know what to change. But if you envision your goal and make it a big one, even if you don't achieve it, the idea is, what do they say? Shoot for the moon. And even if you miss, you're amongst the stars. Really cool quote. The idea is, picture yourself being a millionaire who's able to make Hajj every year, who's able to help build local masajid, who is able to donate to the genocide victims, who's able to donate all over the world, help neighbors, help family, help friends. Imagine what you would do with that kind of money. Picture it. And then start thinking about, what can I do? What am I good at? What do I like to do? How can I generate more income to achieve these goals? Or, I love my job. How can I be better at it? I love my supervisor's job. How can I get that job and work side by side with them? Or they were friends and they told me they're retiring in a few years. What do I need to do to improve my skill set so that I can earn that position and that recommendation? Does that make sense? Personal improvement, without being selfish about it, is a huge, huge, huge effector in your goals. It's like with the things I talk about right now with the brain stuff. I never visualized. That was not, like I said, woo-woo was the word for it. I thought it was nonsense and it never made any sense to me. But as I studied more and more brain, how the brain works, some of the things I'm typing up right now, the different areas of the brain that affect visualization, holy cow, it's scientific fact. And the Quran even talks about it in some of the verses. I can't remember them off the top of my head. But yes, it's there. Oh, real cool verse. Just read it the other day about being included in a group of people that are talking poorly or are bad talking. You should ask them to stop or at least leave, right? And if you don't leave and you stay and participate, even if you just stay and you don't change it, if you stay, you will be included amongst them. Well, there's real cool research about that. Brain research. This was 1500 years ago. The verse is revealed. And now there's really cool research about that, showing that in groups that are working together on a project, they want to figure out how to help businesses and stuff. If you're working together on a project, literally, they measured them with EEG, QEEG. And they saw that when the group got into it and they got into a group flow and they were sharing ideas and feeding off of each other and it was working, their brain waves started to sync up. So then the Quran tells us you don't want to be in a group of bad talkers because you will be counted amongst them. When that punishment comes, that brainwave stuff, real cool research also. If you work next to within 20 feet of a great employee, you will improve 15%, I believe it was. If you work within the same distance of a horrible employee, your production increases, I think it was 15%, increases 15% with a good employee. It decreases over 20 when you're near a bad employee. The Quran told us this. So that brain, that what goes in, and that's the only thing you can control is literally your thoughts. If a negative thought starts coming in, push it out and think something good about yourself. Even if you have to go all the way back to the first time you ever got an A and your parents are proud of you in school, that's how smart you are. Does that make sense? You're only as smart as you think you are. My mother keeps telling me, kind of embarrassing thing about visualization and the way you picture yourself. I always thought of myself as a terrible student, as a lazy student. I didn't like this. I didn't like that. I didn't work hard in high school. It was easy to pass classes. It was just not a big deal. Okay, up in upstate New York, and I was in the Regents program. If any of you are old enough to know about that stuff, and the standardized stuff, a little more than just the. However, I don't even know how they differentiated it. It's not like I chose it. That's where I ended up. And I graduated high school with B's and C's, not doing anything, literally not any effort at all. I had to work a little harder in college, but I didn't for my undergraduate stuff. But man, when I got to chiropractic school and I went in thinking this stuff is going to be hard, I'm going to have to, my whole practice, my whole training, my whole studying, just because I told myself going in, this is going to be harder than anything I have ever done in my life, is going to chiropractic school and learning healthcare stuff and chiropractors, it's brain and nervous system for us, really a lot of nervous system. And then the functional neurology expanded my brain education. The idea is that I went in thinking I was going to have to do this. I literally envisioned the outcome. I'm going to school to graduate in my 30s. I envisioned the outcome of graduation. I then had to figure out how I was going to accomplish that. And I mapped it out. First time I ever really set a goal and put action steps and time into it. And I sat down and I said, I got 24 hours. I did this process. I've got 24 hours in a day, visualizing the graduation, not realizing that's what I was doing. But I'm thinking about graduation all the time, from the start to the finish. It was graduating. I could see myself crossing the stage, getting my diploma, wherever we had the graduation ceremony at. I knew I was getting my diploma. So I mapped out my day. We all have 24 hours. 6 to 8 of those hours in my early 30s, 6 to 8 were locked in on sleeping or taking a nap to make up for studying late and not sleeping, whatever the case. So 6 to 8 hours is gone. I'm left with 16. 8 hours are gone. I'm left with 16 hours. I know I'm going to spend an hour or 2 hours eating and prepping meals because we didn't have on-campus housing. So now I'm down to 14 hours. Then I know I'm going to be in class anywhere from 3 to 5 hours every day. So now I'm down to 9 hours. I like exercising. So now I lose another 2 hours, 3 to 5 days a week, depending on my class schedule. So I'm down to 9 hours. Now I'm down to 7 hours. And we lived off campus. I lived off campus. So 30 minutes of prep time, drive to campus, maybe pack a snack so I didn't have to drive home and drive back in between classes, depending on how big a break I had between classes. And I tried to stay at campus. And I literally stayed at campus, went to the library in between classes, either studied the material that was just taught or study what I had learned or been taught yesterday, the day before, my harder classes, whatever I had to put more time into. And that's how I blocked out my 24 hours. And then if I felt like all my studying was accomplished, then I didn't have to do as much. If everything was done, then I could handle surprises. I could handle relaxation and clowning around with friends. It was in Georgia, beautiful state that I had never been in before. And it was literally because I envisioned, and now that I look back on it, literally, I did everything Dr. Malolo taught us about goal setting. I envisioned the goal. I mapped it out. I had action steps planned every day. And the first thing I did when I got my class schedule every semester, we were on quads. So it was every 10 weeks, I had a new schedule. Every time I'd literally say, okay, this is what I'm going to do Monday. This is what I'm going to do Tuesday. This is where my workout is. This is how much sleep I should probably be able to get every night. This is da-da-da-da-da. And then the teachers would give us our test schedules. And even for our national boards, when I graduated, we only had two, part one and part two. And, right, national boards, I think there are only two. Anyway, there was a study organization, and the majority of students always went to those. Every time they came in, just before the national boards came, they'd come to campus and they'd cram and teach you all these shortcuts and da-da-da-da-da. And I didn't go to those myself. And actually my roommate, I was blessed with a really motivated roommate. And he and I would study literally all year long. And then I had a couple of friends, part of my study group that I was with from beginning to end. And we literally put in the time all the time. I had those people around me, alhamdulillah, that really fit, and their goals matched my goals. It wasn't about going out in the big city. It wasn't about having fun while we were there. It was honestly about graduating. That was the vision. And that's like I said, that was the first time I can tell you, that was about the first time I really envisioned visualization. I didn't do it playing football in high school and college. I didn't do it running track in high school. I never did it before. I just did what the coaches said, and I practiced a lot, and that was it. Envisioning that next level, I can't emphasize it enough. That's literally some of the highest executive function, but it's also a good way to train in executive function. Picture yourself achieving that goal of a raise, earning the respect of your coworkers, that you do get it from your boss. If you can't, I don't recommend quitting, but the idea is improve yourself and make yourself more marketable. Make yourself your education, your self-improvement, make it on a higher level. Increase your knowledge, increase your marketability, increase your pay, kind of thing. In relationships, when I talk to my kids all the time, none of them are married, and they always talk about, how do we this and how do we that? And I always say one of the things, of course, is kindness. A lot of the English translations, it emphasizes kindness, it emphasizes piety. You really, those are two huge keys. So kindness, I always say what you need to do is find someone, one of the things I always talk about, find someone that is going to compete with you to treat you better than you treat them. They are there. What a fun competition that is. Think about it. If your partner, if your spouse, with your kids, train them on how to be helpful by you being helpful. My son had to be at work unbelievably early today because of the weather down here. And I set my alarm. I got up at 2:00. I made sure he was up. I then, rather than go right back to bed while he was in the shower, I literally made the breakfast. I made him one of his favorites, eggs. The egg was folded over. I scrambled it up and let it go as a pancake. Throw some cheese in there, fold it over, toasted the bread, buttered the bread, and then halal. I put pepperoni slices on it. It's actually, I think this one is halal turkey roni, and a container of coconut water. He got back today and said that was the best sandwich he had ever had. But the idea is competing with my kids to do something like that. Then they literally compete with me. The other day, my one daughter, her 23rd birthday, we all went down there. And the next day, I went out with my other daughter for lunch. She had the day off, and my daughter the birthday girl had to go to work. So my other daughter asked me to stay in town, and she said she wanted to go out to lunch. So we went out to lunch, and my father set the example. And so I try to do it all the time. I always pay. I'm literally trying to pay all the time. Man, don't you know, she told the waitress without me knowing to give her the bill. So my daughter, competing with me, won and paid for breakfast, for brunch. So the idea is, again, and now my youngest son, making him the sandwich and stuff, it didn't take anything. My alarm went off at 2:00. I heard, and then I made his breakfast and talked to him for a few minutes, made sure he was real awake and not nodding, and I put him to bed early. You know, it's literally, he fell asleep before Isha, then I wake him up, and then he goes to bed right after that. So it's with spouses, with family members, with friends. My circle is kind of tight, but the idea is compete with people in kindness. And imagine if you find a spouse that does more for you than you do for them, but it's because they're putting in the extra effort to beat you at the extra effort you're putting in. Be the person that earns that deserves that. That Allah wants you to have that kind of blessing stuff, okay? And that's, and you've got to envision that. You literally have to think about the things that you can do. I knew what I was going to do when I went to bed last night. My alarm clock went off at 2:00. I knew I was going to stay up and make breakfast for him. And I knew right after he left, I was going right back to bed. That was the vision. And then I got up for Fajr, alhamdulillah. But the idea is you envision that stuff. Do you see how like that worked? I knew what I was going to do. And most of you, it's not hard. It's not a lot of extra stuff. Most of you already do it. You know what time you're getting up for breakfast, for work tomorrow, for example. I know Fajr is between 5, I think it's 5:13 now. 5:13 and, or is it 5:20 and 6:13? Anyway, when I get up at 5:30, it's right on time. So my alarm clock is set for 5:30, right? That's envisioned, that's planned. I know what I'm going to do. And then we're going to do what I did today, except it's not 2:00. And then after I'm done with my prayers, cleaning and praying, I'm going to come over here. I usually don't eat before. And I come over, I sit down at the computer, and I'm going to do my typing. And then I'm going to eat. Then I'm going to jump in the shower, clean up, and get ready for work. Does that make sense? You guys are probably going to, like Sister Sabrine is going to wake up about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, as she said. She's going to have her book and her writing material, whatever she uses, pen, paper, uh, pencil, and she's going to set everything up. And when she wakes up at 1 or 2 o'clock, inshallah, she's going to get up, do whatever get her drink, get her her coffee or her water, and she's going to sit down and start writing a little bit. And then if she nods off, she did what she already knows. Most of you know you're going to get up, you're going to pray, you're going to have breakfast. If you have kids, you're going to start getting them ready. Everybody prays together. You feed them, you get them ready for school, and then you go to work or you stay home, whatever yours is. You already envision most of it. Now make it a conscious act. Literally map out the day if you want to, like I did for chiropractic school. Map out the day. What's the 24 hours going to look like? And it doesn't have to be what they say written in stone. Literally, if you make a schedule, and like my schedule today, there was a change, but because I had a plan, it fit right in there. I just had a hour-long couple side trips, but I got it done in an hour. And then I went right back to my plan. Got some of it done. Like I said, 2 o'clock, went back to bed, got up, prayed, ran over to the bank, ran over to pay for something that's being done for me. Then I had to run a couple of errands for my mother. Today's my day off most of the time. Ran a couple of errands. That was a surprise, not disappointment, just surprise. Made it fit, went back in. Then I did my typing. I was going to do that earlier, but I did my typing. Then I exercised. And then, let's see. Oh, then we led right into this. Does that make sense? So pretty relaxed on a day off, but I had my plan for my day off. One of these things that you should really get in the habit of doing things on purpose is a great way to think of it. Do it on purpose. And then when accidents or surprises, hopefully good surprises, when good surprises happen, then how do they say? When opportunity knocks, you should be prepared. And one of the best ways to be prepared is have a plan. And that way, when things come up, fit it in. Like all I did was space out things, but I got back to everything that I had planned on doing. And it's literally do things on purpose, have a plan, and tonight, before you go to bed, envision how you're going to at least start your day tomorrow. And you got to be at work at this time. You've got to take this bus or that train, bigger cities. You've got to drive this long. You've got to think about this traffic. You've already got it planned out. It's really important. Plan your downtime too. Plan your downtime. I know I had my workout fit in. I knew I was going to have, y'all know I don't really like coffee, but I drink 1 or 2 cups every day because there's some good research on it with good coffee. And I put a little powder from a company I like, Standard Process. I use the chocolate powder, and it's because that way I have a nice flavor in it, because I don't like the flavor of coffee. But I literally made my coffee. I did my I had a cup of coffee just before I worked out. I had a cup of coffee just before I did my to start the day, because I thought I was going to get back to my typing and I wanted to be hyper alert. But then I had to run a couple errands. Then I came home and I had the coffee. No, so then I just went into the typing and I had the coffee just before my workout. So I had my second cup then. Does that make sense? So it's literally, I plan out most of my day allowing for things. And if you can't get everything in because there were changes, if it's that important, make it for tomorrow. It's literally boop, 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 carry it over. It's when you have a plan, you create your own options. You really do. Planning your downtime, planning your I've got a 15-minute block. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna, not that I am, being the single guy that I am, but I'm gonna sit down, pretend it's you, first person. I am literally gonna sit down next to my spouse, put my arm around them, and if they are, pretend they're right brain, and you know they respond right brain stuff. So you're gonna sit down next to them on their left side. You're gonna put your hand on that shoulder, that left shoulder. You're gonna talk in that left ear, the left field of vision. All of those, for a reason, all of those cross over to a right brain stimulation. The sound crosses over, that way both sides hear it. It comes in the left and crosses over. The vision out of the left field of vision crosses over. The touch, the right brain controls the left body and the left brain controls the right body. So if they're left brain people and you want to stim their left brain, you sit on the right side and do all of that, right? And give them the 15 minutes of attention. Same thing with your kids. Like I said, if you want more on the brain stuff, listen to the previous lectures on the Sisters website. And you can also go to Dr. Rob, you can go to Amazon or go right straight through Dr. Robert Melillo, Melillo, through his website and buy his Disconnected Kids book. Disconnected Kids, phenomenal book. And his Reconnected Kids book. Both of those books are really heavy in our understanding of right hemisphere and left hemisphere activity and stuff. But literally do that. If you find a 15-minute window, spend 15 minutes being nice to friends and loved ones. If you're, in my case, maybe mom, whatever, she's busy doing something, I may pick up a book that I'm reading and read that, or be nice to myself, close my eyes and envision tomorrow. It's today's Thursday. It's 7:30. 7:30. I'm starting to ramp down, even if you can't tell. I'm already, after we're done, I start my evening getting ready for Maghrib just after 8 here, and Isha is close to 9:20. And I'm planning that, and I know I'm, like I said, I know I'm going to listen to the Quran. I know I'm, inshallah, all this will happen. Make that stuff fit. Make everything on purpose, because there's so much you already do. It's not a problem if you start planning that spare time, your time. Plan your time for you to enjoy your family and loved ones.
We have a question here, Dr. McBride. Oh, am I on the mic yet?
So there we go. If you'd like I said, it's 7:30. Why don't you, if anybody's typed in any questions, please, if you could read something.
I don't think I'm on the mic.
Walaikum salam rahmatullah.
Hi, I noticed that people use their MBTI test to make routines. Does this work?
Say those letters again.
People use their MBTI to form out their routines.
I gotta tell you, I don't know what MBTI is.
It's called a personality test, or they tell you if you're introvert, extrovert, intuition, sensing, feeling, thinking.
Yes, I gotta tell you, those things are really cool. But for me, and it's not a criticism, for me, they get too complicated. What I like to do is look at hemisphericity, and it's really important. And with those, pretend you're an introvert or you're an extrovert, none of that matters when you are setting a goal and action steps. If I'm an introvert, and believe it or not, you guys just you probably won't believe me if I say it now, but please believe me. Growing up, my mother used to get mad at me because I would not look at people when I talked to them. I'm right brain, so I'm very self-conscious. I was very self-aware, and then high school was super hard for me. But I was a natural introvert because I tend to be right brain, right hemisphere. And with that in mind, you can train it out. Becoming a school teacher in college, and my first 10 years after college, I was a school teacher. So they literally trained it out because I had to stand in front of class. I was a health teacher and a phys ed teacher. So I'm teaching in the classroom and in the gym. So I had to learn to be up in front. But I'm a natural introvert. And introvert or extrovert, no matter what I'm doing, it's a plan. It doesn't, whether it's, like I said, for me, introvert or extrovert, it's still a plan. I know I've got this goal, I've got this reason why, and I've got to take these action steps, and I want it done. And right now, say my computer project, that thing is, the plan is to have it done in the next 60 days. 60 days, because I've been working on it. These should be the final 60 days. So whether I'm feeling shy that day, or I'm really pushing myself to talk and hang out, or talk and really be expressive, it doesn't matter. The personality test is it's whether you're an introvert or extrovert, should not affect setting a personal goal, having a real good personal reason, and then taking action steps that you may not need anyone else for. And if you do and you're shy, that may be hard, if that makes sense. I'm not, the personality tests are really cool, but it shouldn't affect goal, GPAing everything, goal, purpose, action steps, and then time frame. Does that make sense? Does that answer what you were saying, sister?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Yeah.
And also, if you're a visual learner, or you're a listener, or you like to touch, do you think that can influence your routine also?
You're
how you interpret?
With that, sister, you're spot on with that. That is hugely important. I tend to be the person, like I said, in high school, I was the lazy learner. I really learned listening and reading. That's what I did. I read my assignments, and I listened most of the time in class in high school, and I made it through without an effort, and it was a huge advantage. And then some people are very hands-on. My two boys, oh my gosh, my youngest son is heating and air conditioning. Fits his personality, fits his desire to look at things, see it, and then apply it. And he loves touching stuff. Believe it or not, I tend to be hyper tactile. I tend to be sensitive to touch. You see, I'm not wearing any jewelry today. When I was trying to see if it would stimulate my brain, it just overstimulates me. So yes, being a tactile learner, being a visual, being a verbal, those are huge components. And if you tend to be an auditory learner or a visual learner, or you like to dive right in and put that cabinet together without reading directions, then that's your superpower. And you use that and make your learning procedure and your self-improvement that way. If you picking up languages, I have a younger brother who is a verbal man. If you give him a month with somebody, fluent in Spanish when he went to college because he had two South American roommates, moved to Japan when he's ex-military, moved to Japan and picked up Japanese and came back after one pitch, one series, one assignment while I was living over there, learned Japanese. He's an auditory learner. So yes, your learning style is hugely important. You can figure it out, use that. That is your superpower, that is your strength, and there you go. Sister Geechee, you said you had a couple questions.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Wait a minute, hold on, Sabrine. Sabrine, can you hold on for a second? We got some questions from here, Sabrine. Hold on. Okay, go ahead, Geechee. Go ahead, Geechee.
Okay. I wanted to know, like, I have two.
Wait a minute, cut off your Zoom room.
Divergence.
Cut off your Zoom.
Huh?
Cut off Zoom.
Oh, turn it off?
Turn Zoom off.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
You can hear me now. I cut it off. I'm sorry. Okay, neurodivergence and dealing with being directionally off all the time. That's the first question. I always say number 2, I am an extrovert, introvert all the time. And I had one more, oh yeah, speech impediments and neurodivergence. And that link. That's my questions.
Man, that's a lot of stuff. Okay.
I know,
Let's
but I've
start
been
with
moving around it. I was like, I have to ask
the
Dr.
way you said
McBride
that.
because I'm dealing with that, but I gotta ask.
With that, picture, I think the neurodivergent part is when you said you're directionally challenged all the time, your right brain tends to be this feels like the right direction because I went once before. 10 years ago, this is the way I went, and it feels right. Some people can't do that. Absolutely, okay. They need GPS. One of my kids is she doesn't even know the name. She didn't even know which highway she drove to work on every day, and we used to have a good time with that. She said, I turned right and went that way. Okay, we know where you were going. The idea is that's a right brain activity. And then you gave me something else. Verbally,
the speech impediment. Yeah.
Speech impediment. Okay. So what happens is, imagine your weak right hemisphere. That's self-awareness also, not just direction. First yourself and self-oriented. Hugely important, the right brain. You become self-oriented. You know where your finger is. You know where your elbow is. You know where your ears are. You know all that stuff, right? Your direction starts with self and where you are in relation to yourself. Then you are aware of how close am I without looking to my mouse? How close am I to the corner of my computer, to my cell phone? Then you're in relationship to everything else, and you're telling me you're challenged on that side. Imagine now how hard it is if you are self-aware challenged. Okay, does that make sense? Your right brain, it might be a little deficient, and you tend to be more left-brained. Imagine how hard it is for you to be verbal when you're not as aware of self as possible. And the fine motor control you need to get the letters out that your brain is thinking. You need to be really, sometimes speech and reading stuff is not a lack of intelligence. It's a lack of strong right brain self-awareness. So then think and verbal skills and manual dexterity skills almost match. I know if you are a hugely sloppy writer, your speech ability, you're going to be very limited in your word selection. You're going to be very limited. I mean, there's so much, these two things they are so closely tied together. And it's that fine motor control. You've got to work your respiration. You've got to work your throat muscles. You've got to work your mouth, your tongue, your lips. You've got to, like I said, respiration is huge. Get the breath out. You notice sometimes I don't take a breath and I might pass out because I talk too fast. But the idea is that it's that self-awareness, and you may have you may be real strong left, which means you've overpowered the right. And even though you've got the verbal intelligence, you don't have the ideal motor awareness, function, and control to get the words out. I would guesstimate, educational purposes only, I would guess you'd want to do right brain stuff. You could start with colors, blue, green, and indigo. You could start with motor skills with the left hand. You could try tracing things, those little maps, and what do you call those puzzles where you trace and try to get out? You know what I mean? And literally rote trace over things, a thin piece of paper, and try to detail trace things and improve fine motor control, and see if that right brain stuff doesn't help.
That's how you see yourself, Dr. McBride. Anybody else on that platform on Bijou? If you guys want to take the mic, go ahead. I just want Dr. McBride to see that you guys, there's 100 and how many people are in there, DG? 100 and how many? 11 at the top.
Oh, that's cool.
It says 108.
108 people. They're listening live all over the world.
That's really cool.
Like Singapore, Malaysia. Dr. Jamali, these your people. Malaysia, Singapore, Arabia.
I'm wearing the same style t-shirt. For that audience, I have the same style shirt on.
But I have to make sure that I got my camera or they'll ban me. They took I had to show my driver's license. I had to turn a picture in of me with my license. I can't stream you unless I'm on here too. So that's why I'm showing them, letting them see you and me.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions from the for you guys on Bijou? For Dr. McBride, you can take the mic. I open it up. Oh, they're coming in.
Okay.
Yeah, just they can take this. You can take the stage. Okay. Okay, Zoom, go ahead, Zoom, while they no Arabic, all in English. Brother Salafi, all in English, Salafi. No Arabic, English. Dr. McBride doesn't speak Arabic.
Please, yes.
He's in Saudi Arabia. He's want to help me put the program together without getting banned. He's using an interpretation program. Yeah, it has to be in English because Dr. McBride doesn't speak Arabic. Dr. Jamali does, but not McBride. Okay. All right. Okay, go ahead, Sabrina.
Okay. One of the things that interested me was when we were talking about introverts, and most times people, even as a child, I wasn't one who talked a lot. So even as a child, I wrote things down. I wrote down how I felt. I wrote down what I saw. I saw people as very interesting human beings, but I liked writing about them. And I was able to see a lot of things and verbalize a lot of individuals without even speaking to them. So what is that? I mean, it's in writing. A lot of times I have trouble speaking to where people understand what I'm trying to. So I don't even bother. I'd rather just write it down.
Absolutely. Yeah, think about what we just said to Sister Geechee about the right brain. You didn't want to interact. You were probably very strong right brain. Those singer-songwriters, those country singers that write all that sad stuff about, they create Lionel Richie, Stevie Wonder. Lionel Richie told this story when I was aware of this stuff years ago. He told this story about how his aunt said he'd never make it in music unless he learned how to read music. And he couldn't read music. And look at what this guy ended up doing. He's like the king of love songs. Stevie Wonder, as blind as he is, he's always been blind and he can write music. The idea is, even though music is a horrible example for us as believers, the idea is how strong a right brain did they have that they could describe the feelings. And when you were saying that, you didn't like verbally interacting, but man, you had the words and the understanding and you wrote it down. And you literally just said that you could describe and figure things out with people by writing it down and observing. So your self-awareness is probably very huge. That's all right brain. Your self-awareness, which sets the foundation for your outer awareness and your observation skills. Your understanding is over here. Word definition and word and sentences and structure is over here. But the comprehension and the emotional content is what you're good at, is what you were strong at. You literally just gave a better definition of right brain activity than I have by describing yourself. You've got a hugely strong right brain, and it's been there since birth. It's like, wow. And as if you remember, if I mentioned it already, the right brain comes on first because babies need to observe and learn. And then from conception, because they're learning in the womb. So from conception to the age of about 2 years. So that's approximately the first 3 years of life, right? At about 2 years, the left brain kicks in because the right brain has been exposed to so much. Then the left brain picks up the learning part, we get the words, we get the pronunciations, we get the no, because the right brain is still active, working with the left. So that's where the no comes from. The withdrawal, the inhibition is the right brain no side. But then these kids are wandering and getting into stuff, that's the left brain coming online. So you stayed really strong right, probably your whole life, sister, which is a gift. It's honestly a gift. And these writers, these people that really deliver emotional content, are really good with the right brain. That's what you just described. It's really pretty cool.
Sister Fatima, you have a question from Bijou?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, Fatima. You got a question in Bijou? You guys didn't mute her, did you? Geechee, can y'all unmute her?
No, we didn't mute her.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
You got a question, Fatima? Just click your
Type
mic.
your own name and click the mic, and so you can speak on the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only you can unmute.
Assalamualaikum.
There she is.
Alaikum salam.
No, I just wanted to say thank you, Dr. McBride. I don't really have any questions. I've been trying to do what you been trying to say. There's a lot of different things that go on with me being that I have these migraines and different things be going on, and I don't really know how to, like, certain activities that you give, like with the eye motion and different things like that. It's very hard for me to do. So I'm trying to try to differentiate what I mean, how to figure it out, but I don't know how to.
Where are you?
Huh?
What state you in?
Yeah.
Albany, New York.
Oh, no way. I grew up in Elmira.
Yeah.
Then
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not too
What's
far.
that, about 2-3 hours away, I think? Yeah. I gotta tell you, sister, maybe you could, as a chiropractor, obviously I lean towards my stuff first. Think about if you just
I have problems with that too, with my wait.
Yes, actually, your cervical spine, the muscle tension, headache. If your neck is off, you're going to have, eventually we develop that. That's why I started seeing a chiropractor 30 some odd years ago, was increasingly, never had headaches. Then in my late 20s, early 30s, late 20s, man, miserable muscle tension headaches it turned out to be. A couple of adjustments, the headaches were gone, and I've been working on my cervical curve ever since. If you can find somebody that's any good up there, I don't know anyone in New York right now. I know Malillo's down in New York City, but he's a little.
I wish I can go to him.
Well, he's a specialist in what he does.
Right.
If you want to spend a week with him, it's like $7,500.
Right, I have bulging discs too, so
that's fine.
And they
so
said that they're bulging out more in my neck, and they're starting to bulge more in my spine. I guess it's my spinal area.
Well, we still have, since I haven't seen your X-rays or your MRI reports, I'd still recommend, because I have herniated discs, top and bottom, and I get adjusted all the time. We have different techniques. We have different equipment. You can use your hands. You can use instruments. I use all of that depending on my patient, and so it's very customized. You can shop around, call different offices, ask them what they do.
At home, like what are some good things for home, like do it yourself at home, or?
Well, I gotta tell you, some things I do all the time, because as a chiropractor, my posture is horrible all day, right? I'm bending over patients, so I literally this morning for 15 to 20 minutes lay down the edge of my bed with my head hanging off. If you're real tight and sore and you don't have any blood flow issues, if it's really tight and sore, do just the edge of your head hanging off, and then work your way down your neck. A lot of stretching in the front of your neck is what you want to do, because the tight back of the neck is usually because your curve is reversed and it's a horrible front. So you don't stretch the back where it's tight, you stretch the front that's pulling it tight, if that makes sense. So you want to do a lot of this stuff. And
So you're saying, I'm looking at you on YouTube. So you're saying, put your head up.
If you're lying flat.
Can I hear you?
You watching him on YouTube? Okay.
You can see me?
I'm looking at him at YouTube, yeah.
Okay, so what you're going to do, pretend this is you, right? This is you lying flat.
Yeah.
Straight flat on the bed.
Okay.
Now, here's, pretend this part is my head. Okay, right here. This is my neck. This is my head. Here's the edge of the bed. I'm going to let just my head hang off the edge of the bed. Does that make sense?
My neck part, like, okay, you're just gonna, I'm gonna put my, where the edge of the bed is. Wait a minute, you went mute a little bit.
So that my neck is still supported on the bed, but my head is off a little bit.
Off the bed.
Off the bed. Then, if that's relaxing, cool. Do it for a minute or two. Don't fall asleep, all that stuff, you overstretch. If there's no lightheaded, if there's no carotid artery stuff, then that's a recommendation. If I were you, I'd check with my physician first. But I do that a lot. And then if I feel good there, I'll slide farther and farther down towards my shoulders to stretch more and more of my neck.
Okay, so gradually.
Oh, hugely gradual. It could take you weeks before you get the whole thing off. And there are some days I come home and I'm really tense and I'll only do just my head, just like I never did it before. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So what you want to do, though, is with that advice, make sure you check with your physician first to make sure you don't have any blood flow to the brain stuff. All right, because there's a test I do in the office.
So check with my neurologist first, because I don't have a chiropractor yet.
Yeah, no. Check with your neurologist and then shop around for a chiropractor up there, because I don't know anybody in New York. What you could do maybe is call Dr. Malillo's office, tell him you were advised by Dr. McBride, one of his students, and he asked if you could ask his office if they could make a recommendation to anybody up there in Albany.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay, I'll do that. Yes, it does. I'll give them a call. Thank you so much. I don't know. I looked online for their phone number and
yes.
But it went blank. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, reach out to Dr. Malillo's office and ask him if he has any recommendations, because you got a chiropractic school that's up there in Seneca Falls. So you know a lot of those New York guys and girls are going to stay
my
up
family is from Seneca Falls.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's a beautiful lake, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, isn't it?
Thank you.
We used to go to Cuba.
Yes, I love it. It's pretty. Yeah. But thank you so much, Dr. McBride, and I will take on your recommendations and your suggestions. I thank you so much for that.
See if it works. You don't have to. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. If I ever make a recommendation, everyone, if I ever make recommendations, you check with your physician, because I do not know your case, and I would hate to be the cause of anything, right? And number two, try the basic, simple, shorter stuff first. You don't push through pain with this. My patients are never encouraged to push through pain. Everything, we gradually wrecked ourselves. Now we've got to gradually build ourselves back up, if that makes sense. Err on the side of caution is the easiest way to think.
I'm up there in an age, but I'm getting there.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah. Any other questions from Zoom?
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
I have another question, but I think we could focus more on it next week. It's basically about how some people can visualize images in their head, picture perfect, while others, they see nothing, and how those people can visualize objects, though. I think it's called Asperia.
It could be. I can't remember the exact verbal description, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Some people can literally, it's the weirdest thing. I am a person that, even though I describe that, protect you and yourself from a fire, and I see a cave and I see burning hot, and I see that in my mind. If you ask me to picture, there was something I was reading and studying, trying to improve my ability to visualize. I'm not one that visualizes well. it's hard. It really is hard for me to close my eyes. And the experiment out of one of the books I read was close your eyes and picture an apple in front of a white screen, bright red apple. So I close my eyes, and I don't see it. I can tell you what it looks like. I can tell you all this stuff, and I know what a red apple looks like, but I don't close my eyes and envision that well. You're absolutely right. Some people are really good at it, and some people aren't. So what I tell myself, and I'm glad you brought this up, sister, I tell myself that what I'm going to do is, even if I can't see it, I'm going to focus all of my attention on it, because my brain knows what it is, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's a great point, sister. For those of you like myself who struggle with visualization and seeing things in their mind, you can still, like I said, picture the stack of money, for example. You want to raise and it looks like this. I was just guessing. I have no idea what a $10,000 and $100 bills looks like. I don't know. I don't know what 20 totaling $10,000 looks like. I don't see that. I don't visualize and approximate well. So I'm just, it's just not me. But I do, now I know how important visualization is. I do pretend it's a basketball shot. I'll close my eyes like I'm doing now. I'll tell myself I'm standing at a foul line, or I'm standing off in the corner, and I'm looking at the basket and I see it, and it's that far away, and I'm going to envision my shot, and then I let go and how it feels. And I try to walk myself through it, but other people can tell you the beads of sweat they feel and see, and the backdrop of the crowd, or maybe it's an empty gym. They can say that. I'm just rehearsing it in my mind, even though I don't have a good picture. So you can still train in what's important to you, even if you don't create a beautiful picture. Does that make sense? And I'm glad you brought that up, sister, because that's, for anyone that's struggling, I raise the level of importance by focusing on it, but the envisioning doesn't always match how important I think it is. Just do it. Just do it.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah. This was a very good, and that would make a great topic. Not just that, but also how some people can envision colors to the point where they can make music. You know what I'm talking about? And write and other things.
I've only heard, I don't experience. Although, you know what's really cool as a side note about colors, if I can diverge, they say if you're white or black, and you guys could confirm it for me, as individuals, you usually dream in your own race. I didn't know that. There's research out there that says almost everyone dreams within their own race. Now, I found that really interesting. So I tried to remember, if I ever remember my dreams. And this is why I think I must be transracial.
That's not true, because I dream all kind of colors.
I literally realized I can remember having dreams with black characters in them that were all part of, white characters, black characters, and I've always wondered if that's because of my background and the friendships I've had, or is that unique, or maybe the research was off. Or like you say, or like I said, how involved your interactions with different cultures is, or colors, or racial whatever, however I'm trying to say that.
Because I'm one of those people that remember my dreams. I remember every dream, and I have all kind of people. I have black, white, Indian, Chinese, Arabic. I had a dream yesterday where I had Chinese. I had a Arabic man in my dream, and a Chinese man, and the baby that looked like Ain. I dream about Ain and Dr. Jamali. My dreams be all over the place. And then there'll be unicorns, you know, horses with horns and all kind of stuff. My dreams be all over the place with funny animals and people that I know, people I don't know, trees with chocolate trunks. My dreams are everywhere. And I have all kind of people in them.
Inshallah, if we both make it to heaven, I want to be near you, and I want you to share that chocolate tree.
I'm telling you, I have all the trees and they be chocolate, and I just sit there and be eating the chocolate, and I just eat them, and I'll be like, hey, come over here and eat this chocolate, and I fly. My dreams are crazy.
Alhamdulillah. That's
That's all. I'd like to share something. For 7 years, I was an employment interviewer, which means that I had to look at people.
Yeah.
And one of my training as being trained as an interviewer is when you're looking at a person, look them in their right eye. If you look at them in their right eye, you will see everything around them, and you will hold their attention, and your attention also will be held. You just stand right at that right eye, their right eye. And I'm telling you, you will just hold them. If they look away and when they come back to you, look at that right eye. This gives you a lot of strength. And that's what I did for 7 years.
That's interesting.
SubhanAllah.
The right eye is going to, well, I mean, they don't just by themselves, but the right eye, like I said, when you're here, if I'm this part crosses to heat, this part crosses this way, but this goes all the way over.
Yeah, you see all around them.
Interesting.
Mashallah.
Cool. That's interesting. I wonder where they pulled that from, because that'd be interesting.
I don't know, but I've had some very, very, very heavy training.
Yeah.
I worked for Verizon for like 30 years as a manager.
Yeah.
So I was there a long time learning stuff.
That's cool.
Have you ever had the Myers-Briggs test? Myers-Briggs?
I've never had that asked.
Okay, that's a very good test.
I've never done
Excellent test. Yeah, excellent test. I've had all kinds of stuff. MashaAllah. But I too dream in different colors, and I suck candy, I eat food. And I remember a lot of my dreams, you know, and I dreamed my dead family members. But you know what I noticed about my dead family members? They never talk. They never talk. I just see them, they're moving around, I'm there with them, but they do not talk. And I'm so thankful that they don't. I'm so thankful. I dreamt about my mom and my stepdad when I took a nap today. And yet at the same time, he wasn't talking, but my mom was just so active. She was doing her thing.
Interesting.
SubhanAllah. So I'll pay attention to that.
Yeah, I don't remember mine. We have them all the time, but I don't remember.
A lot of people don't remember their dreams. I noticed as an investigator, I studied that. Most people don't remember their dreams, but I'm one of those rare people that do. I remember even when I was 3 years old, my dreams. Yeah, I remember mine. Okay, guys, mashallah, this was a great session. And for those of you who are new joining us, just to let you guys know, this is every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dr. Daniel Abdul Rahman McBride. And I see we had a lot of people here. And like I said, feel free. You know, at the end of his lectures, you can always take the mic here in the Bijou room and ask questions. And the people on YouTube and Kick, by the way, I'm back streaming live on Kick, and I see I got people that's been popping in, welcoming me back, giving me some arms. Don't worry, I'll put my moderators back in there. I didn't have to use them today, but I'll let some more people. I'll get my old moderators back and Kick. And just to let everybody know, please donate to support this Dawah effort. We're streaming on 20 different social media platforms. Alhamdulillah, it's very stressful. I'm trying to put the Dawah out. It seems like a lot of people love the classes that we're teaching, our topics. We are an online Islamic university. Everything here is free of charge. We've been around since 1986. We are a nonprofit organization. We need your support. When we first got started in 86, we were the first to use voice technology, and everything was free because Windows wasn't even invented back then. We were using a Linux machine. And then when Windows came out, everything was an experiment free. but now they want money for everything. So please, guys, we are nonprofit. We need your support. All your donations go to nothing but this program, the streams, the video programs, the splicers, everything that we use. So for those of you on Bijou, please support us. You can Cash App us at Sooner Followers. You can also Zelle us. You can also PayPal us. Please support us. Also on YouTube, Facebook, you all know how to support us too. You can Zelle us at Layla@SoonerFollowers.net. You can PayPal us at Sooner Followers. Please, the first of the month is this weekend. This streaming program is $300. That's got to be paid on the first. So I'm going to log out for now. The next class is at 9:30. The Metcalcitic Tafsir, Volume 7. This is Dr. Kareem Abu Zaid's third book on the first 7 most lengthy surahs of the Quran. I'm going to be breaking them down to you in plain English. You don't want to miss it. So that'll be at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. So I want to thank everybody for joining and participating. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, everyone.